I was clearly the grand senior brother whom every star would address as Taoist upon meeting, yet on the eve of the investiture of the gods I was betrayed by the master I trusted most, personally sealed within the chaos for endless eons, while Buddhism flourished and the sanctity of the Taoist sects was ground to dust, and the name of Jiejiao was slowly forgotten by the three realms. After tens of thousands of years, I returned from the chaos only to discover that the Wangxian Jiejiao I once cherished had been utterly annihilated while I was in deep slumber. Figures like the Demon King of Qian Mountain and the three demons of Shituo Ridge, who were originally the 7 attendants I had personally mentored, have now committed countless atrocities in the name of Buddhism. At this moment, the holy Buddhas and the heavenly court were celebrating, paving the way for the journey to the west. Suddenly, 2 beams of boundless divine light pierced through the clouds, aiming straight for the heavenly court. A royal guard bellowed presumptuous. What wicked demon dares to spy upon the celestial palace? Your Majesty, please issue a decree for their extermination. Before the guard could finish his sentence, the Jade Emperor Xuanye sprang to his feet, raising a hand to signal silence to the court. The Jade Emperor Xuanye had sensed that the intruder's cultivation was earth-shaking and unfathomable, yet he could not discern the origin of this person at all. He calculated for a moment. What is his intention? Does he refuse to submit to me? Xuanye chuckled softly, not considering it a serious matter, and dismissed it from his mind. He was no longer the mere acolyte listening to the Tao at Zixiao Palace in those years. He was now a middle-aged man of imposing stature, surrounded by golden light condensed from the fate of the 3 realms. He was in every sense the sovereign of the 3 realms. Under the blessing of the sovereignty of the 3 realms, Xuanye's cultivation had naturally reached the peak of the Quasi-Sage realm, and possessing the heavenly book, the investiture of the gods, he feared no one. He spoke in a resonant voice, Taoist, if you are curious about my celestial palace, why not approach and see for yourself? His voice pierced through the clouds, traveling beyond the 9 heavens. The gods in the Lingxiao precious hall were struck with terror upon hearing this. Who is this? To be treated with such courtesy by the heavenly emperor is truly a rare sight. The Jade Emperor Shi was the rightful, undisputed ruler, holding the investiture of the gods and governing the 365 deities of the heavenly court. The power of life and death held by these supreme deities has always been absolute. Scarcely anyone dares to defy Xuanye. Who could this person be today? The gods are curious, yet dare not inquire further, choosing only to whisper among themselves below. However, several core members of the Jiejiao Sect listed on the investiture of the gods find their expressions shifting at this moment. Zhao Gongming and Dumu Yuanjun quickly exchange glances, their shock mingled with profound complexity. That fleeting aura feels somewhat familiar, yet they dare not be certain. Could it truly be the aura of their senior brother? If one were to ask the disciples of Baiyu Palace in those years whom they admired most, one could not fail to mention their senior brother. He truly integrated himself among the disciples within the sect, often jesting without a shred of arrogance. He enjoyed playing harmless pranks on his junior brothers, often leaving the young male disciples who had newly arrived at Jin Hao Island bashful, teasing them until they were beet red, ensuring the atmosphere on Jin Hao Island was always harmonious. Furthermore, he was exceptionally protective of his own. Whenever there was a dispute outside, the moment he stepped in, he would seize the opponent immediately without asking who was right or wrong. If a disciple of the Jiejiao Sect was at fault, he would let the other party take them back. If the other party was at fault, the matter was easily resolved. You may call for your reinforcements now. And yet a man such as he, a senior brother beloved and respected by all, vanished without a trace when the great tribulation of the gods began, abandoning everyone to their fates until the Jiejiao Sect ceased to exist. Is this aura truly that of Jun Hao? Our Lady of Jinling grips her horsetail whisk tightly, her heart torn between expectation and trepidation. Zhao Gongming's hand, as he strokes his beard, trembles slightly. If only he had been present in those days, there would have been no need for him to suffer the fate of his soul returning to the investiture of the gods. Xuanye, observing with a serene smile, casts a glance toward the 2 of them. At the same time, within the Sanli Palace of the Heavenly Court, a figure seemingly embodying the spiritual grace of the 3 realms, who was previously meditating with a faint ethereal light circling her body, her brow etched with a trace of lingering melancholy, suddenly moves with haste in the next instant, standing before the window. She gazes into the distance, dazed, as her previously calm eyes begin to ripple with turbulent light. Outside the door, a joyful cheer erupts. Sister. A figure clad in emerald robes rushed in, brimming with urgency. Upon arriving, Wet Li immediately grasped Luoli's wrist, looking toward the distance as she spoke. Elder sister, can you sense it? It is the senior brother you have longed for all this time. He has returned. Before the spirited white light could finish her words, Bing Li, dressed in crimson, also entered from outside, her expression filled with joy as she said, Elder sister, it seems to be the aura of our senior brother. Nwit Li greeted her second sister. Bing Li then took the composed Luoli by the hand and led her outside. Sister, let us go find senior brother and have him take us away from the heavenly court. If Yubei does not agree, we shall have senior brother defeat him. As she spoke, Wet Li's eyes reddened and her voice choked with emotion, as if she had suffered great grievances and had long waited for someone to stand as her protector. And that person had finally appeared. Luoli looked toward the horizon, her fingertips trembling slightly, her eyes veiled in a thin mist of tears. She followed Wet Li for a few steps before slowly pulling her back. She was ever gentle, a woman as tranquil as a painting, though even her eyes were now damp with moisture. Stroking Wet Lie's hair, she softly began, "Little sister, this person may not necessarily be our senior brother. It is merely a passing resemblance. Do not be impulsive lest you bring trouble upon others." Yet despite her words, her gaze remained fixed on the horizon, unable to look away. Nwet Li had experienced the era of investiture. Her temperament was no longer as rash as it once was, even without Luo Li's intervention. Her footsteps came to a halt at the threshold as she wiped her tears and offered a desolate smile. Indeed, even if senior brother has truly returned, what of it? The times of Jinao Island are no more, and the once prosperous Jiejiao Sect no longer exists. They could only entrust their longing and hopes to the gaze they cast toward the distant horizon. At the sight of that tall, slender figure, the realization dawned upon me, and my heart could not help but tremble. Suppressing the urge to storm the heavenly court at this very moment, I did not respond to Shunye's words, and in the next instant I vanished from the 9 heavens. Seeing me depart, the others withdrew their gazes one by one. Although I did not reveal myself, I remained the subject of intense speculation throughout the heavenly court. Afterward, I drifted aimlessly across the vast primeval wilderness, my mind in turmoil, not knowing where to turn. Jinao Island no longer possessed the vitality it once held, and the disciples of Jiejiao, the one who has been indoctrinated, Master Tongshan, merely pretends to be deaf and blind. The entire primordial world seems to have left me in total solitude. The most pressing matter now is to locate the surviving members of the Jiejiao Sect from the great investiture of the gods' catastrophe. Based on memories of future generations, I know that the Holy Mother Wudong did not perish. She has merely hidden in the shadows, making her difficult to find for the time being. The second person is Luo Li. She was suppressed by Taishang Laojun at Qilin Cliff, though she, along with Bing Li and Yu Li, were eventually consecrated during the investiture of the gods. Thinking back, her soul remains intact, and her true spirit has not yet completely surrendered to the investiture of the god scroll. While Qilin Cliff is easy to locate, it is truly a den of tigers and a pit of vipers. Without further hesitation, I turned and headed in the direction of Mount Kunlun. After the collapse of Mount Buzhou, Mount Kunlun naturally became the foremost mountain in the primordial world. The dojo of the St. Yuanqi Tianzun is situated atop the peak of Kunlun. I transformed into a streak of light, and before long I appeared in the sky near Mount Kunlun. I silently observed this sacred cultivation ground of the Chan Sect. Looking at Yushu Palace from afar, one can see a magnificent and grand architectural complex. Within the palace are jade pavilions, golden halls, jade railings, and intricately carved eaves. Immortal energy lingers in the air, and the sound of bells echoes throughout. It manifests a sense of opulence and solemnity. Outside of Yushu Palace, there are many other pavilions, halls, and immortal caves on Mount Kunlun. These are all places of cultivation for the many disciples of the Chan Sect. It is truly a vast and sprawling immortal palace. A cold glint flashed in my eyes. With a light step in the next moment, I bypassed the massive Yushu Palace entirely. I appeared at Qilin Cliff in the rear of the mountain. At the same time, deep within the 8 Views Palace amidst the sea of clouds on Mount Kunlun, the Grand Master Xuandu, the personal disciple of Taishang Laojun, slightly opened his eyes. He sensed the surroundings for a moment, then shook his head. He slowly closed his eyes again. This matter does not concern me. Upon arriving at Qilin Cliff, I immediately recognized a powerful restrictive formation. My body felt as if it were sinking into quicksand, making it difficult to move. The overwhelming power of a saint, supported by the heavens and earth, is not something that human strength can withstand. Indeed, those who have not attained sainthood are nothing more than ants. If it were not for the fact that Yuanqi, Taishang, and Master Tongshan are the same, having consumed the saint-binding pill and forbidden from harboring murderous intent, I would truly not have dared to recklessly intrude upon Qilin Cliff today. At this moment, a colossal cauldron radiating boundless celestial energy suddenly manifested above my head. The body of the cauldron was engraved with images of birds, beasts, fish, insects, the sun, moon, stars, mountains, and rivers. 7-colored radiance poured forth from within like a waterfall, brimming with the profound power of creation, while mysterious yellow clouds of merit swirled around it, protecting me from all manner of hostile arts. This was the Innate Qiankun Cauldron. Years ago, I guided Nua in the creation of humanity and received this as an exchange, a treasure imbued with the vast merit of creation, capable of rivaling the Dharma artifacts of saints, and perfectly suited to withstand the restrictive barrier set by Yuanqi Tianzun. I had already sensed a cave beneath Qilin Cliff where Luo Li was being suppressed, but breaking a barrier woven by a saint would be no simple task. I meticulously analyzed the weak points of the restriction while, inwardly lamenting, "Master Tongshan, how could you be so irresponsible? Setting aside the disciples who have already perished, those who still live are being suppressed in this manner, and yet you remain indifferent." Within View Palace, the eyelids of Master Tongshan twitched involuntarily. Sages of the heavenly Tao can perceive the movements of the entire primordial realm. Even a muttered grievance within one's heart can be vaguely sensed by them. Similarly, as soon as I reached the perimeter of Yushu Palace, I was discovered by Yuanqi Tianzun, though he was too arrogant in his status as a saint to pay me any immediate heed. It was only when he saw me overestimating my own abilities, attempting to dispel the barrier, that Yuanqi Tianzun finally let out a cold snort and remarked, "You know nothing of what is good for you. If you continue this insolence today, I shall suppress you alongside them." Having said this, he dismissed the matter entirely, for even though I am a quasi-saint, breaking his barrier is an absolute impossibility. Between a saint and a quasi-saint lies a chasm as vast as heaven and earth. The truth is indeed as he claimed. Even though I had manifested both the Innate Qiankun Cauldron and the Fantian Seal, I could not damage the barrier of Qiankun Cliff. In desperation, I was forced to manifest my life-bound spiritual treasure, the Light Awl. The Light Awl was originally a chaos-grade spiritual treasure, and while it could not be compared to the Pangu Axe, it remained a cut above the Taiji diagram, transformed from the Pangu Axe and other such spiritual treasures. I gripped the Light Awl tightly, and strands of golden light, numbering in the thousands, erupted from the weapon. Like needles piercing through silk, they enveloped the barrier, meticulously searching for a point of vulnerability. In an instant, Qiankun Cliff seemed to transform into a massive golden cocoon. Amidst the collision of raw power, a strand of golden light from the Light Awl finally discovered a breakthrough point in the barrier, slithering inside like a serpent. Immediately thereafter, layers of golden light patterns radiated from the Light Awl, slowly corroding the barrier from that single point of origin. The barrier of Qiankun Cliff resembled a porcelain bowl, beginning to spiderweb with cracks, yet a persistent surge of power constantly sought to mend it. Fortunately, the point of penetration had been found. I sped forward, carrying the Qiankun Cauldron, and slammed both my person and the cauldron violently into the breach. The barrier was torn open by my force, creating a gap just large enough, and with a successful maneuver, I passed through and entered the depths of the cave. Lua Li was imprisoned within. I took a single step and arrived at her side. Inside the cavern, a pure white auspicious cloud was trapped within a formation. This was the true form of Lua Li. Previously, when I caught a glimpse of her in the heavenly palace, I saw that Lua Li's primordial spirit was in the heavenly court. Now I only need to retrieve her physical body and help her primordial spirit return to its rightful place. Within the Yushu Palace, Yuanqi Tianzun realized that his grand formation had been breached. He raised his hand, tracing a golden decree of a sage into the void with radiant brilliance. Since you have arrived, there is no need to depart. With a flick of his finger, the decree, imbued with the overwhelming pressure of a sage, vanished into the void. In a fleeting moment, it appeared above the Qiankun Cliff's restriction, gently affixing itself to the barrier, much like the mantra placed upon the mountain of 5 elements to bind the Monkey King. The Qiankun Cliff's restriction surged in power, intensifying instantly. The void trembled and the fissure torn open by the Light Awl began to seal shut like melting ice. My heart sank. This was a disaster. Yuanqi Tianzun had intervened in secret once again. I immediately compressed my form into a slender, nearly invisible ray of light darting toward the gap before it fully closed. However, a surging, irresistible force of repulsion suddenly erupted. I felt as if I had collided with an impenetrable wall of iron, and I was violently repelled back deep into the cavern. By now, the restriction had not only fully restored itself, but the sage's pressure flowing through it had multiplied exponentially, threatening to freeze the very air within the cave. My gaze turned icy as I reached back and summoned the Fantian Seal. In an instant, the phantom of a segment of Mount Buzhou manifested in the void, descending upon the restriction with the destructive force of heavens collapsing and earth shattering. Yet after a thunderous roar, the restriction merely rippled slightly, not even a single mark was left upon it. When faced with a sage, even a quasi-sage is far too fragile. A Dalua Golden Immortal might be able to challenge a quasi-sage by relying on the power of a magical treasure, but no matter how high a quasi-sage's cultivation may be, they cannot bridge the insurmountable chasm between themselves and a sage, not even if one reaches the pinnacle of the quasi-sage realm. And yet I was not without options. I looked up into the void, a cryptic smile playing upon the corner of my lips, and spoke, "Yuanqi Tianzun, I have a question for you." Within the Yushu Palace, Yuanqi Tianzun naturally could not be bothered with me. In his eyes, a sage is omnipotent and omniscient. Everything in the primordial world remains hidden from nothing before him. He had no time to engage in idle debate with me. To him, my confinement was nothing more than a trivial task performed with a wave of his hand. Even if it was only out of respect for Tongshan that he remained a step below him, yet my next words caused the divine sense of Yuanqi Tianzun to falter momentarily. Do you know what wave-particle duality is? Yuanqi Tianzun had been observing me within the cave using his divine sense, and he instantly witnessed my body dissolving into flickering motes of light, becoming one with the surrounding environment. Seeing this, Yuanqi Tianzun immediately used his saint-level divine sense to seal off everything within and outside the restriction, cutting off even the light itself, turning the cave into a realm of absolute darkness. My experiment had failed, and my figure coalesced once more in the shadows. I could almost imagine the smug expression on Yuanqi Tianzun's face at this moment. Undeterred, I drew a deep breath. It seemed I would have to reveal my true trump card, and so I spoke again. "Yuanqi Tianzun, do you believe in light?" Yuanqi Tianzun remained silent, dismissing my words as mere pretense and mysticism. He was determined to see what methods Tongshan's head disciple truly possessed to escape his confinement. I manifested the Light Awl, spinning it rapidly in my hand, and in the next moment I transformed into a stream of light, merging with the high-speed rotating owl, driving the Light Awl to the absolute speed of heaven and earth within the cave, even surpassing the speed of light itself. Space and time at the tip of the Light Awl collapsed instantly, turning the entire cave that held Lua Li into a region of chaotic space-time, where violent energies surged unrestrained, threatening to tear this space asunder. My physical form became like a torch, carrying the chaos spirit treasure at a speed beyond the reach of divine sense, causing the tip of the Light Awl to pierce through the restriction in an instant. This was my strongest strike, executed by merging my physical body with my natal spirit treasure. A cultivation base at the peak of Quasi-Sage, combined with the power of a chaos spirit treasure, was enough to cause a saint some trouble. And the restriction placed by Yuanqi's own hand had ultimately failed to reach the level of a saint's physical manifestation. A sound, faint as a bursting bubble, echoed in the air. The Light Awl could no longer be locked onto. Before the sound of the shattering restriction could even spread, it vanished toward the horizon. Only when I reached the very edge of the primordial world did I manifest my physical form again, though my body was already covered in fractures, using extreme speed to unleash the Light Awl, shattering all laws with sheer force. Although I successfully escaped, I had sustained heavy injuries. Yet in the sect, my wounds recovered as if they had never existed. At that moment, a massive, vast surge of divine intent descended from the 9 heavens, once again accurately locking onto my aura. My heart shuddered as I thought to myself, Yuanqi Tianzun truly refuses to let this go. The grudge between us has deepened into an abyss. My gaze tightened. Without a shred of fear, I declared, "Come then," and immediately sacrificed the Light Awl, the heaven-flipping seal, and the Innate Qiankun Cauldron. The 3 great supreme treasures hovered around me, radiating a chilling pressure. At worst, I would simply be beaten back to my original form. As cultivators, why should we fear a single battle? Just as I prepared to risk my life against Yuanqi, the pressure of the heavens and earth weighing upon me suddenly vanished. I was momentarily stunned. Yuanqi Zun had retreated. This did not match his arrogant nature, especially after having been insulted by me. I did not overthink it. After waiting for a while and no longer sensing Yuanqi's focus upon me, I transformed into a stream of light, concealing my aura, and quietly made my way to the Sanli Palace in the Heavenly Court. When my figure appeared before the gates of Sanli Palace, Luoli, who was brewing tea inside the hall, felt her hand tremble. The teacup fell to the ground with a resounding crash. The composure that Yuetli had only just regained was instantly shattered. Her nose stung and her eyes turned red without warning. Bingley stood up abruptly, her voice trembling uncontrollably as she called out, "Senior brother, is it truly you?" I nodded. Yuetli's voice was choked with sobs as she said, "Senior brother, where have you been all these years? Do you even know? Our G-Sect no longer exists." I did not know where to begin, so I could only nod once more. Yuetli suddenly lunged forward to embrace me, resting her head on my shoulder as she wept aloud. I patted her back to comfort her, saying, There, do not cry anymore. You are already a grown woman." Luoli, who was not skilled with words, slowly stepped toward me, her gaze fixed on me for a long time, as if she wished to etch my image into her very eyes. After weeping for a long time, Yuetli finally pulled away from me. She began to smile, though traces of tears still lingered on her face, and then she playfully pushed Luoli toward me, saying, "Senior brother, hurry and embrace eldest sister. She has always missed you dearly." Luoli's cheeks flushed a deep crimson as she bashfully replied, "Yuetli, do not speak nonsense." Before her words could finish, her eyes suddenly widened. The words she intended to speak dissolved into a silent bow, as she leaned quietly against my chest, wrapping her arms around my waist. I spoke softly, "Let us go inside to discuss this." Luli let out a faint murmur of agreement. After we entered the palace, I explained, during the great calamity of the investiture of the gods, I made the decision to return to the chaos to recover portions of my essence I had discarded long ago, hoping to bolster my cultivation to face what was to come. I did not foresee becoming trapped within the chaos, and only recently have I managed to return. Because I was absent during the great calamity of the investiture of the gods, the 3 sisters naturally believed my explanation without question. Looking at Yueli and Bingley, who were reduced to mere wisps of their true spirits, my heart felt a weight impossible to articulate in words. Yuli immediately interrupted me, saying, "Senior brother, do not speak like that. That you have returned safely from the chaos is already a blessing beyond measure." Luoli nodded gently as well, adding, "It is fortunate that senior brother was absent. Otherwise, I fear you would have been implicated alongside us. Now that you have returned unscathed, I am satisfied." I could sense that the sisters were speaking from the depths of their hearts. This realization left my emotions in a state of complex turmoil and unease. I composed myself and said, "Let us set those matters aside for now. I have brought a gift for you this time." I smiled at Luoli and said, "Close your eyes." Luoli obediently closed her eyes, a hint of expectation gracing her features. Yoli and Bingley looked at me with curiosity and asked, "Senior brother, what gift have you brought for eldest sister? Is there a portion for us as well?" I smiled and patted Yuli's head, replying, "Not at this moment, but there certainly will be in the future." Having said this, I waved my hand, and the Heaven Qiankun Cauldron hovered in midair. The lid of the cauldron opened on its own, and a soft pale radiance drifted out from within, settling before Luoli. Yuli and Bingley gasped in unison. Their eyes flashed with an unbelievable ecstatic joy as they cried out, "Eldest sister, look quickly!" Luoli did not need to open her eyes. She could already clearly sense the powerful force resonating from the depths of her soul. The sensation was intense. As her original spirit touched its true essence, it was like a fish finding water, and the two merged instantly. A Luoli more radiant and moving than ever appeared, her figure surrounded by faint white clouds of auspicious aura. Her aura surged at a speed visible to the naked eye. Only when she reached the peak of the Daluo Golden Immortal stage did her momentum finally stabilize. Luoli opened her expressive eyes and said with a smile, "Senior brother, thank you." I smiled back at her, saying, "Is there any need for such formality between us?" Bing Li, brimming with curiosity, asked, "Senior brother, how did you accomplish this? Wasn't eldest sister's original form?" I will not speak at length. Let it suffice to say that I arrived at Killing Cliff to shatter the restriction left by Yuanqi Tianzun. As for the fact that I nearly came to blows with Yuanqi himself, I did not mention it. In truth, I myself was unaware of the gravity of the situation. Had a mountain peak adjacent to the main palace of Yushu not been cleaved away by a single sword strike, I might never have returned. Luoli spoke with great solemnity. "Senior brother, you must refrain from such perilous undertakings in the future." A look of lingering fear flickered across her intelligent features. The Saint Yuanqi was never one to reason with others. I merely smiled calmly. Luoli expected me to concede, yet to her surprise I replied, "That is impossible. If I do not engage in such dangerous ventures, how can I ever restore the glory of my Jiejiao?" San Li asked, "In a brother, you wish to revive the Jiejiao?" To San Li, this was as preposterous as a fable. It felt like a thunderclap in a clear sky. How could such a thing be possible? Yet upon reflection, she realized this was entirely consistent with my protective and stubborn nature. I stated with righteousness indeed. The doctrine of our Jiejiao is to carve out a sliver of life for all sentient beings. With our philosophy of teaching all without discrimination, our master was able to utilize this path to forge the prosperity of the human race. This proves that the heavenly Tao itself acknowledges us. There is no such thing as a predestined great calamity for our sect. The rise of the West is merely the result of those four saints acting without integrity. Regardless, I cannot swallow this insult. It is one thing if I were absent, but now that I have returned, the West wishing to flourish is nothing but a pipe dream. Stanley fell into an instant, stunned silence, deeply shaken by my words. Only Yuli and Bingley exchanged secret glances. In each other's eyes, they both saw a shared sense of trepidation. Luoli suddenly spoke up, "Senior brother, if you have already set your mind to this, I will walk this path with you." Yoli and Bingley stared in astonishment, thinking, "Sister, that is not what you said before when you wanted to persuade our senior brother." Yet Yuli and Bingley soon realized that a powerful dormant ambition had also ignited within their own hearts. To restore the Jiejiao, the very thought was incredibly exhilarating. But could it truly be accomplished? Yoli took a deep breath, deciding to abandon all attempts at persuasion. Since this was her sister's resolve, Yuli figured she had nothing but this wretched life to offer. She would follow them to the bitter end. Yuli asked, "Great senior brother, do you already have a plan?" I slowly shook my head and replied, "I have some nascent ideas that require further refinement, but that is of no consequence. My intention is to strike first and humiliate the West in the heavenly court." Bingley pressed further, "Where shall we begin?" The three of them looked toward me, awaiting my response. I pondered for a moment before saying, "Have you three ever heard of the journey to the West while at the heavenly court?" Quite Lai wrinkled her nose. She seemed to have never heard of Journey to the West. A look of deep thought crossed Luoli's eyes, and she suddenly asked, "Are you perhaps referring to the eastward spread of the Buddhist Dharma?" I suddenly realized the truth. Of course, Journey to the West was a term coined by later generations. On the primordial continent, no such designation existed. I explained that this so-called Journey to the West was nothing more than an elaborate drama choreographed for a group of individuals to depart from the Eastern Victory continent, enduring 81 tribulations before reaching Mount Ling in the Western Aparagodonia, to request the so-called true scriptures and bring them back to the Eastern Victory continent. Whitley asked in confusion, "Going to such great lengths just to propagate these scriptures?" I gave a cold laugh. Naturally, it is far more than that. This is a ploy to cloak the Buddhist Dharma in a veneer of hard-earned merit, making all living beings of the primordial world believe that the Dharma is not easily attained, that it contains profound divine power, thereby driving them to compete to convert to Buddhism and ensure its rise. Only then did the three sisters understand, I continued. Knowing this is enough for now. This matter involves forces far greater than you imagine. 500 years ago, when that monkey wreaked havoc in the heavenly palace, it was merely part of this grand scheme, nothing more than a path paved for the eastward spread of Buddhism. Bingley asked further, "Why would the heavenly court cooperate with such a plan?" A flicker of mockery flashed in my eyes as I replied, "Because during the investiture of the gods, Lord Taisheng and Yuanqi Tianzun, in their desperation to enlist the two Western sages to oppose our master, had already promised them the right to spread their Dharma into the East. With the silent approval of the Tao ancestor, this grand theatrical performance involving the heavenly court, Mount Ling, and the myriad of gods and Buddhas came to pass. I laid out the intricacies of this exchange of interests and the secret machinations of all parties involved to the three sisters. Hearing this, the three were stunned, never imagining that a seemingly simple mission to retrieve scriptures held such vast implications, or that it was merely an extension of the great calamity of the investiture of the gods. The three looked at me and asked, "So, senior brother, how do you intend to proceed?" My gaze pierced through the 33 heavens, resting upon the vast untamed wilderness of the Western Aparagodonia. "I intend to descend to the mortal realm to become a demon. For ages, the West has converted countless disciples of our Jiejiao Sect. If they desire a glorious rise today, they must first ask me whether I consent." Luoli spoke without hesitation. "I shall accompany you to the mortal realm." After a moment's thought, I declined Luoli's proposal. "That is not necessary for now. You are to remain in the heavenly court to continue your cultivation and take the opportunity to search for the whereabouts of Wudang. Should I require your assistance, I will notify you myself." The three nodded in agreement. I then discussed the specific details with them, further refining my strategy. The more the plan took shape, the more feasible it appeared. Unable to sit still any longer, I hurried toward the mortal realm. Little did the monk and his disciples, currently on their journey west, know that the mastermind of the primordial continent had already set his sights on them. Their world was about to collapse. The western Aparagadania was shrouded in demonic mist, a stark contrast to the celestial aura of the eastern Victory continent. Across this land, mountains and forests were choked with miasma, and everywhere demons and spirits could be seen absorbing the demonic essence. My figure appeared silently in the air above a range of undulating mountains, my gaze sweeping across the most majestic peak below, Guayan Mountain. I have come here in search of someone, or perhaps a beast, the sworn brother of the great sage equaling heaven, the Bull Demon King. I intend to impede the journey to the west, and I also wish to gather the remnants of the Sect of Immortality. Therefore, the first person who came to mind was Old Bull, who currently serves neither the heavenly court nor the spirit mountain but occupies his own mountain as a king. I suppressed my aura and shifted my form, slowly descending toward the pavilions faintly visible within the mountain. It appears that must be the Plantain Cave. As I reached the ravine mid-slope, the sounds of children playing echoed through the air, and instantly a group of minor demons surrounded me. A moment later, a child with skin as red as flame emerged from behind the minor demons. He wore red garments and two small fangs protruded from his mouth. Between his brows, he bore an air of arrogance and ferocity that belied his young age. One look was all it took for me to recognize him. This was Red Boy, son of the Bull Demon King. Red Boy blocked my path, demanding, "Who are you? You dare trespass upon my Quayan Mountain. Do you not realize this is my territory?" I looked at that small face, which bore a striking resemblance to the Bull Demon King, and offered no direct answer, saying calmly, "I am looking for the Bull Demon King. Tell him to come and see me." Hearing this, Red Boy scoffed, his small face filled with disdain as he retorted, "You wish to see my father? Who do you think you are? Is my father someone you can meet just because you desire it? Are you perhaps the monkey sent to fetch the scriptures in disguise?" My heart stirred upon hearing this. It seems the chaos caused by the journey to the west is indeed widespread. The demon kings along the path all know of the monkey's group, and judging by the situation, the monkey must be near Quayan Mountain already. I had no intention of wasting time with this brat. I cast a glance at him and said, "If your father were here, even he would not dare speak to me in such a manner. I have no patience for a child like you. Go call the Bull Demon King out." Since birth, Red Boy had been pampered and protected, ruling over the Quayan Mountain region with unchecked authority. Never before had he suffered such blatant disregard. Instantly, he swung his fire-tipped spear, pointing it straight at me, and shouted, "I see you have come looking for trouble. If you know what is good for you, get out of here. Otherwise, I, your master, shall let you taste the might of my Samadhi true fire." I was amused, saying, "You are young, yet your tone is far from small. Has your father never taught you to show respect to your elders?" Red Boy laughed as if he had heard a great joke. "An elder? You are truly tired of living." Finishing his words, he raised his fire-tipped spear and thrust it toward me, the tip radiating a scorching aura. As his Samadhi true fire flickered, I had no choice but to wave my hand dismissively. Red Boy and his fire-tipped spear were struck by an immense gravitational force, sent flying backward instantly. Red Boy crashed hard into the ground, stunned. Yet being one who feared neither heaven nor earth, he did not hesitate, rising to his feet in a fit of rage. He opened his mouth and spewed forth a torrent of intense flames. The fire blossomed like a lotus flower, carrying the power to burn mountains and boil oceans as it surged toward me. I remained motionless, merely allowing a faint golden light to manifest around me. The Samadhi true fire struck the golden light like a drop of water into an ocean, failing to cause even the slightest ripple. Red Boy was left utterly bewildered. His Samadhi true fire had never known defeat in the vicinity of Quayan Mountain, leading him to hold his head high and look down upon everyone. He never expected it to be neutralized so effortlessly today. Watching his dazed expression, I lightly flicked my finger, and Red Boy felt a gentle yet irresistible force wash over him. His fire-tipped spear was wrenched from his grasp, and he was thrown back once more, rolling across the grass. Filled with shock and fury, he scrambled up, pointed at me with reddened eyes, and cried out, "You! How dare you strike me? My father and mother have never even laid a hand on me. You wait right there, I shall fetch my father to come and skin you alive." Having said this, he did not even bother to retrieve his spear. He flew toward the plantain cave in a blind rage, screaming as he went, "Father, mother! Someone is bullying me." I watched his retreating figure and shook my head helplessly. Truly, the Yaksha clan is born with a fighting spirit, their limbs moving faster than their brains. If this child is not disciplined properly, he will surely invite great calamity in the future. Not long after, a thunderous bull's roar echoed from within the plantain cave, shaking the very heavens. Immediately following, a towering figure soared into the sky, landing in the air before me. He wore a purple gold crown upon his head and was clad in chainmail armor. In his hand he held an iron mixed staff, his stature standing over 3 zhang tall. His entire body radiated a violent demonic aura. With a face contorted in rage, he bellowed, "Who is the blind fool who dares come to my Quayan Mountain to bully my son?" The Bull Demon King's eyes, sharp as lightning, swept across the surroundings before finally settling on me, roaring, "Is it a death-seeking cultivator such as you?" Because I had employed a transformation technique, the old bull failed to recognize me at first glance. Red Boy followed closely behind the Bull Demon King, pointing a finger at me, shouting with aggressive fervor, It is him. Not only did he strike me, but he also insulted you, father, saying that you would not dare to raise your voice in his presence. Hearing this, the Bull Demon King laughed in his fury, immediately swinging his iron rod toward me with a thunderous strike. Die! I watched his performance silently, then casually flipped my palm to reveal the heaven-sealing seal. Time seemed to stagnate at that very moment. The movements of the Bull Demon King came to an abrupt halt. His iron rod, capable of cleaving mountains and shattering stone frozen mid-air, the unbridled rage on his face vanished in an instant, replaced by an expression of utter, shell-shocked disbelief, his eyes wide, staring intensely at the heaven-sealing seal in my palm. I signaled for the Bull Demon King to remain silent. The Bull Demon King hurriedly stood at attention, clamping his mouth shut as the arrogant smirk on Red Boy's face instantly froze, looking at his father with an expression of total bewilderment. Witnessing the Bull Demon King's shock, I chuckled softly and remarked, "What is it, old new? We have not met in many years. Have you forgotten even me?" The Bull Demon King finally snapped back to reality. With a resounding clatter, the iron rod slipped from his grip and fell to the ground. He stumbled as he descended from the sky, hurried to stand before me and offered a deep, reverent bow, then spoke with a sycophantic grin. "Heh, what are you saying, sir? Old New may forget anyone else, but I would never dare forget you. Come, let us move inside the cave dwelling to continue our conversation. Wife, my dear wife, prepare the finest wine and meat for our guest." At this, not only Red Boy but even Princess Ironfan, who had been observing from the entrance of the cave, were left utterly stunned. They had never seen the Bull Demon King behave with such servility. One must understand that while the Bull Demon King of the West might not be the most supreme of all great demons, he remains a peerless demon king at the Daluo stage, possessing a temperament that brooks no insolence, never once showing such deference even when facing the heavenly court. The furnishings within the cave were not particularly extravagant, possessing a subtle, refined elegance. Princess Ironfan had clearly maintained this place with great care. Once both had taken their seats, the Bull Demon King cast a watchful glance around the room. Using a sound transmission talisman, I instructed the Ironfan to take Red Boy and depart. He began, "Great senior brother," but I waved my hand, cutting Nu Moang off mid-sentence. I replied, "Do not call me senior brother. From now on you shall call me eldest brother. Here there is no Jiejiao senior brother, only the Demon King of Quoyun Mountain." Nu Moang nodded enthusiastically and said, very well. Then I, old New, shall gladly accept this fortune of having an eldest brother." "Eldest brother, you have been missing for so many years. What brings you to Quoyun Mountain today?" Nu Moang possessed a straightforward nature. Knowing I was not a man for pleasantries, he went directly to the heart of the matter. I raised my wine cup, frowned slightly, and said in a detached tone, "I have come regarding the pilgrimage to the west. The monk Tang Sanzong and his disciples are likely reaching Quoyun Mountain soon." Nu Moang was stunned, unable to grasp my intentions. I said calmly, "I intend to halt this journey to the west. However, I cannot take action personally at this moment." With a meaningful smile, I patted Nu Moang on the shoulder and said, "It is left to you." Nu Moang looked at me, bewildered, and asked, "Eldest brother, this does not seem right. With your strength, could you not crush that monkey to death with a single strike? Why go through all this trouble?" I smiled and replied, "In time you will understand. You need only tell me whether or not you will do it." Mo Sung scratched his head and said, "Regarding this, eldest brother, the monkey on this pilgrimage is monitored by many hidden eyes. My strength alone is insufficient." He was only at the early stage of the Daluo Golden Immortal realm. Having been stuck at this level for tens of thousands of years, his talent had reached its limit. It was unlikely he would ever progress further in this lifetime. Although the monkey was only a Tai Golden Immortal, he had the backing of the Heavenly Court and the spirit of Lingshan. I patted his back and reassured him, "With me here, you may act without restraint. Even if the heavens were to collapse, your brother would hold them up for you." Nu Moang slammed his hand against the table and shouted, "Very well. Since my eldest brother has spoken, how could I, old Nu, dare to refuse? Rest assured that monkey shall not pass through Quoyun Mountain." No sooner had the two of us settled the matter than a panicked voice of a minor demon echoed from outside the cave. "Holy Infant King, the monk Tungsanzong you spoke of has been spotted by our scouts. He has already reached the foot of Quoyun Mountain." Nu Moang's eyes widened so soon. I signaled with a glance, "Big brother, I shall depart at once. Just remember, do not beat him to death." The Demon King nodded. "I understand, big brother." At the foot of Quoyun Mountain, the monk Tongsanzong and his disciples were advancing at a measured pace. Sun Wukong, shouldering his golden hooped rod, leaped ahead to take the vanguard position. He occasionally scratched his head and pulled at his ears, his expression revealing a trace of impatience. A sense of unease took hold of him. Suddenly, Sun Wukong came to a halt. His brows furrowed tightly as he gazed into the void ahead. A surging wave of demonic energy, vast and towering, rolled toward them. Sun Wukong spoke urgently, "Bajie Junior Brother Shah, protect the master, a demon approaches." Bajie hurriedly helped Tong Sanzong dismount from his horse. He pulled Sha Seng back with him. Then they found a shaded spot to sit down. They prepared to watch the spectacle with ease as the heaven-shaking demonic aura churned like black clouds. It rapidly descended upon their heads. Before the great demon even revealed himself, a voice resounded like a thunderclap. "You insolent monkey, it has been a long time. Are you faring well? Do you still recognize old Niu?" Upon seeing it was the bold Demon King, Sun Wukong was first taken aback, then he grinned and said, "So it is Brother Niu. It has been many years." Why have you come to this place to act as the Mountain Lord of Qian Mountain? Move aside, quickly move aside. I must escort my master to the western heaven to retrieve the scriptures. As he spoke, he reached out to pat the Bull Demon King on the shoulder, only to be shoved away by the Bull Demon King's staff. Who is your brother Niu? Do not try to claim kinship with your superiors. The smile on Sun Wukong's face stiffened as he scratched his head and asked, Brother Niu, what is the meaning of this? Back then, we swore an oath of brotherhood. Was that not a beautiful legacy? The Bull Demon King laughed in fury. You still have the gall to bring that up? Today, I am determined to block your path. What will you do about it? Sun Wukong roared in return. You old bull, why are you being so I respect you as an elder brother and wish to avoid a conflict, but if you persist in blocking my way, do not blame me for being discourteous. A flicker of mockery flashed in the Bull Demon King's eyes as he retorted, Discourteous? You are merely a mediocre Tai golden immortal, yet you dare to speak such words. He suddenly let out a long roar and his form began to swell in size. He transformed into a colossal azure bull standing 1,000 jong tall, his bull head resembling a mountain, his horns like sharpened blades, his entire body armored in impenetrable scales. As his 4 hooves struck the earth, the entire Qiyun mountain trembled. As his Daluo golden immortal cultivation erupted forth, the monkey, who was merely a Tai golden immortal, instantly recognized the abyssal gap in their power. The monkey scratched his head and plucked his fur in agitation. With Tong Sung and Bajie watching from behind, he could not afford to lose face, so he gritted his teeth and charged forward. He unleashed the law of heaven and earth, his body swelling to a height of 10,000 zhang. The Dinghai divine needle likewise expanded into a pillar that reached the heavens. The monkey even attempted to use words to persuade the Bull Demon King. Bull Demon King, are you truly determined to oppose this old son today? Unexpectedly, the Bull Demon King in his true form merely snorted. 2 streams of demonic energy, turbulent and vast, erupted from his nostrils. Like infinite divine light, they instantly triggered a gale of celestial wind as a violent storm surged forth. Bajie, standing behind, turned pale with fright. He stood stunned for a moment before blurting out, Surely not, is this for real? Wasn't this supposed to be a rehearsal? What is the meaning of this? Forced into action, he immediately brandished his 9-toothed rake to protect Tang Seng. But he too was merely a Tai golden immortal. Even by exerting his full strength, he could not compare to the Bull Demon King. The monkey's 1,000 Zhang Dharma body was shattered instantly, and he could not help but vomit a mouthful of blood. Stunned where he stood, he shouted, Bajie, take master and leave at once. This Bull Demon King has improved far too much. I am no match for him. Sun Wukong let out a roar, retrieved his staff, and braced himself to buy time. Channeling his Dharma power to its limit, he whirled the golden hooped rod with such seamless precision that he forged a golden barrier of defense. Zubajie and Shawajing hurriedly escorted Tang Seng away. The Bull Demon King turned, his massive tail, resembling a whip of steel, sweeping across the air with a piercing whistle towards Sun Wukong. Seeing this, the monkey somersaulted upon a cloud into the air, barely evading the strike. The bull's tail lashed against the ground, instantly carving a bottomless trench. Stretching for dozens of miles, the mere shockwave alone sent the monkey flying for thousands of miles. They were simply not on the same level. Sun Wukong was gripped by profound terror. Seeing that Bajie and the others had retreated far enough, he hurriedly took flight to escape as well. The disparity was too vast. Not a single strike from the Bull Demon King was something he could endure. Watching Sun Wukong flee, the Bull Demon King let out a cold hum, slowly resumed his human form, and led his demonic legion back to Qiyun Mountain. No content to translate. Departing from Qiyun Mountain, the monkey's heart could not find peace for a long time. With a melancholic expression, he located the Tang monk and his party, consisting of 3 disciples and a horse. He returned covered in dust and grime. Dejected, he called out, Master. Tang monk, though also appearing somewhat disheveled, asked with concern, Wukong, are you unharmed? Sun Wukong replied with a touch of embarrassment, I am fine, master, but how has this Bull Demon King grown so immensely powerful? 500 years ago, he was no match for me. Passing through Qiyun Mountain this time will be difficult indeed. Perhaps we should find a way to circumvent it. Upon hearing this, Bajie insisted it was impossible, noting that the path had been divinely ordained with many tribulations, and the journey through Qiyun Mountain was mandatory. He immediately scoffed and remarked, Senior brother, are you not the great sage equaling heaven? Why do you fear a mere bull? Even the heavenly court could not suppress you when you wreaked havoc in the celestial palace. Detouring is far too tedious, so find a solution. The monkey, flattered by such words, felt a sense of pride. He scratched his head and said, If there is truly no other way, I shall have to ascend to the heavenly court to request assistance. Bajie urged him, Go quickly, go quickly. Although he did not understand what had come over the Bull Demon King, he paid it no mind. The journey to the west was a collaborative project between the heavenly court and Mount Ling. Resolving the matter of a Bull Demon King without divine backing would be a simple task. Before departing, Sun Wukong did not forget to give instructions, saying, I shall make a trip to the celestial palace. Bajie, Shawujing, take good care of master and ensure no demons take advantage of the situation. He took the pilgrimage to the west with the utmost seriousness. After all, Guanyin had once promised him that once his merits reached perfection, the golden hoop upon his head could be removed, and furthermore, his past rebellion against the celestial palace would be forgiven. Bajie promised, Rest assured, senior brother, with me here, master will be safe. Go quickly. Be sure to make the situation clear to the heavenly court. That bull demon king possesses vast supernatural powers. You must summon someone formidable. Having spoken, the monkey immediately performed the somersault cloud and vanished into the firmament. The primordial world is vast beyond measure. Ordinary cultivators cannot traverse its entirety in a single lifetime, except for those like me, who are with the cultivation base of the Saint Pinnacle to reinforce one's strength. Only then can one roam freely across the primordial realm. Yet, with the monkey's current cultivation, despite his somersault cloud covering 100,000 li in a single leap, it would still take 2 or 3 days to reach the 33 heavens. I, on the other hand, have not been idle. I set out with Old Bull, heading toward the west. If my memory serves me correctly, among the 81 tribulations of the journey to the west, there are quite a few perilous encounters. As he spoke, he reached out to clap the bull demon king on the shoulder. Within these 81 tribulations, there are many trials, whether orchestrated by supreme disciples descending from the heavenly court, or arriving from the west. The most ferocious in strength are naturally the 3 demon kings of Shituo Ridge, the white elephant spirit, the golden-winged great Peng, and the azure lion spirit. Because my memory of these 3 is etched so deeply, the first stop I led the bull demon king to was the legendary Shituo Ridge. From afar I furrowed my brows, sensing an intensely pungent stench of blood. My expression darkened instantly. The vast Shituo Ridge is majestic and imposing, the weight of its peaks pressing down upon the earth. Strangely, these mountains are almost entirely hollow, honeycombed with countless caverns, much like the 10,000 Cries cave. As we drew closer, the stench of blood became increasingly thick. I landed, my feet hovering just above the crimson-stained ground. Suppressing my rising fury, I spoke coldly. Old Bull, issue the challenge. The Bull Demon King replied, understood, big brother. Sensing the freezing intent radiating from me, the Bull Demon King roared, you demons within, crawl out for Old Bull. Move your legs, or else I shall shatter this Shituo Ridge with a single strike, with me to back you up. The Bull Demon King pushed his arrogance and defiance to the extreme, and without further ado, he hoisted a mountain and hurled it toward the Shituo cave. The immense commotion immediately drew out countless demons. There were lions that had taken human form and avian spirits, all manifesting strange shapes as they surrounded the Bull Demon King. He laughed heartily and said, you petty demons, do you know who I am? The petty demon retorted with equal arrogance, we do not care who you are. To dare incite trouble within the territory of our 3 great kings, you are truly tired of living. The Bull Demon King was amused to laughter, and suddenly with a single slap he crushed the life out of the small demon who had spoken. A roar saturated with immense magical power thundered across the land. You 3 demons inside, get out here at once for Old New. The 3 demons of Shituo Cave were startled, and as a demonic gale swept past, they appeared before the Bull Demon King, their faces filled with murderous intent. The golden-winged Peng, possessing the most violent temperament, spoke, who dares to run wild in my Shituo Ridge? Are you tired of living? As the 4 demons locked eyes, they were all stunned. Da Peng? The Bull Demon King's eyes widened in sheer disbelief. Glancing at the 2 figures beside the golden-winged Peng, he gasped aloud, golden-toothed elephant, blue lion, why is it you? The Bull Demon King's heart hammered against his ribs. Thinking of the hidden rage of his senior brother, a flicker of pity emerged in his wide bovine eyes. Feeling that gaze, the 3 great demons suddenly felt a chill run down their spines. Having once been among the 7 immortals who served Tongshan, they were well acquainted with the Bull Demon King. Seeing an old acquaintance, the blue lion spirit laughed heartily. Old Niu, why have you come to our domain? Did you hear of our brother's reputation and come to pledge your allegiance? The white elephant spirit also waved his hand, joyfully dismissing the minor demons surrounding them, and said, we are all family, all family. Old Niu, it has been 2,000 years since we last met, hasn't it? The Bull Demon King coughed awkwardly. The golden winch asked with concern, Old Niu, what is the matter? Is your throat uncomfortable? If so, you have come to the right place. Come into the cave, and I shall prepare the tenderest human infants for you. The moment the golden winch Peng uttered these words, the Bull Demon King immediately looked at him with profound sympathy, and the chill the 3 demons had felt earlier now intensified. The golden-winged Peng could not help but shudder. A cold current tangible as a blade pierced his skin and chilled his very bones. My voice, icy and detached, finally drifted over from the side. Is human flesh truly that delicious? The 3 demon kings of the Daluo Golden Immortal Realm, upon hearing this bone-chilling tone and feeling an inexplicable sense of familiarity, turned their heads and were instantly struck as if by lightning. I had restored my original appearance, for this face of mine remains highly recognizable. My brows were like blades, my eyes sharp, and my features peerlessly handsome. Yet at this moment my chiseled face clearly carried a trace of murderous intent. The 3 demons of Shituo Ridge were seized with uncontrollable terror. Who was I? The irreplaceable first disciple of the Jiejiao Sect, who once presided over the 10,000 immortals on behalf of the Master, who dared to defy me. Do not speak of them merely as the 7 attendants of Tongshan. Even if they were the direct disciples under the lineage of Tongshan, upon meeting me, they would still have to bow respectfully and address me as senior brother. The golden-winged Peng, usually the most violent of them all, felt his legs go weak at this moment. Stammering, he spoke, Senior brother, you have returned. I did not respond. Instead, I said coldly, Master bestowed upon you the supreme clarity Dharma. Is it for you to remain here, devouring humans and acting with such impunity? Or do you truly believe that by submitting to Lingshan, no one can govern you any longer? Seeing that the situation had turned dire, the Azure Lion Spirit and the White Elephant Spirit hurriedly collapsed to their knees before me, saying, Senior brother, we dare not. It was the Bodhisattva who instructed us to remain here and act as demons. Everything was directed by Lingshan. We are merely following orders. We know our faults, senior brother. Upon seeing this, the golden-winged Peng did not hesitate to prostrate himself on the ground. Seeing the three demons' sincere attitude in acknowledging their faults, my expression softened slightly. I said, the human race and the demon race are indeed irreconcilable foes. Humans kill demons. While the fact that demons devour humans may be considered the way of the world, you are not mere wild spirits without a master or a sect. You are disciples under the tutelage of a saint. Your actions must be carefully considered. Do not bring disgrace upon our lineage. The three demons lowered their heads in shame and replied, Understood, senior brother. We know our errors. I nodded and said, It is good that you acknowledge your faults. I shall strip you of 1,000 years of cultivation. Do you have any objections? The three demons shook their heads and replied, We do not. The three demon kings of Shituo Ridge breathed a sigh of relief. In their hearts, they even felt a hint of gratitude. 1,000 years of cultivation was nothing of great significance to them. Their actual strength would remain virtually unchanged. I waved my hand, striking the air with a single blow, and the cultivation of the three Shituo Ridge demons was instantly severed. Should any individual reach the golden immortal realm, they may be spared. The three demons immediately acknowledged the command. They dared not question my intentions and promptly set out to disperse the minor demons. Do not be deceived by these monsters, though they may seem insignificant in the Lion Camel Ridge. Should they descend upon the mortal realm, each would be a formidable great demon in their own right. Now that the primordial spirit Qi has long vanished from the great desolate world, any post-celestial being capable of ascending to immortality is a peerless talent indeed. Yet such a rare talent would be reduced to a mere lowly heavenly soldier within the heavenly court. Furthermore, where the human race resides, mostly in the eastern Victory Continent and the southern Jambu Continent, those found here in the western Cattle Continent remain relatively scarce. The three demons of Lion Camel Ridge returned shortly after, though many minor demons still lingered in the mountain forests, observing from afar. With great reverence, the three demons spoke. Great senior brother, there were no demons among them who had reached the golden immortal realm, so we have dispersed them all. Having reported the situation, the three demons of Lion Camel Ridge stood obediently to the side, waiting for my word rather than presuming to inquire further. I spoke slowly. Today I have come to ask you a question. Are you willing to return to the Jiejiao Sect? Naturally, I am aware that you currently belong to Lingshan, and if you are unwilling, I will not force you. Each to their own path. However, should we meet again in the future, I will show no mercy. Upon hearing this, the three demons of Lion Camel Ridge and the Bull Demon King beside them were utterly stunned, staring at me in disbelief. The Bull Demon King asked in a low voice, Great senior brother, has our Jiejiao Sect not already been completely annihilated? What remains of the Ji Sect to speak of? The three demons of Lion Camel Ridge shared the same sentiment. During the battle of 10,000 immortals, aside from the escape of the Holy Mother Wudang, every member of the J Sect was either slain or forcibly converted. Not a single soul remained. To say the sect's lineage was eradicated is no exaggeration. I cast a glance at the Bull Demon King and said coldly, Am I not still standing before you? The Bull Demon King immediately recoiled, offering a strained laugh. Great senior brother, if I may ask, is this your own intent, or is it the will of the master? I replied calmly, It has nothing to do with our master. The three demons of Lion Camel Ridge fell into a heavy silence, unable to determine their course of action. Had it been the will of the Tongshan cult master, they would not have hesitated. The presence of a saint provided a sense of security, but the master had not emerged from seclusion. Because it was merely the intent of the great senior brother, they remained deeply hesitant. The West is home to two saints. Without a saint to serve as their foundation, could this Ji sect possibly endure? Even with the great senior brother's strength, he is no match for a saint. The golden-winged Great Peng, possessing the most ferocious temperament of them all, was the first to step forward and speak in indignation. Eldest brother, I shall accompany you. As for Lingshan, I have grown weary of that wretched place, filled with nothing but hypocrites hiding behind a veneer of virtue. You warriors of Lingia, what more is there to consider? What harm is there in risking your lives one more time? Are you truly content remaining at Lingshan, serving as nothing more than mounts for others to ride? Upon hearing these words, the Azure Lion Spirit and the White Elephant Spirit were immediately overcome with indignation. Having been away for so long, they had almost forgotten. They once stood as equals to the 12 golden immortals of the Chan Sect, yet today they are treated by those same immortals as mere beasts of burden, a profound humiliation and a disgrace of the highest order. The two demon spirits replied, Very well, we shall follow our eldest brother and stake everything. Things could hardly be worse than they are now. The eyes of the three Shituo Ridge demon masters burned with fervor, rekindling the formidable spirit of the ancient Ji sect. The turbid demonic aura that had clouded their existence was swept away completely, and as I allowed a smile to grace my lips, I spoke. Good, it seems the revival of our Ji sect is not without hope. There is no need to remain at Shituo Ridge any longer. Follow me and Old New to Quoyan Mountain, a place I intend to serve as the temporary headquarters for our J sect. However, we must maintain absolute secrecy, for we are currently few in number and weak in strength. We must not attract the unwanted attention of the heavenly court or Lingshan. They responded in unison, "Eldest brother, we understand. We fully understand." The 5 of them immediately departed for Quayun Mountain. When Red Boy saw 3 more demon kings arriving at his home, he pouted in displeasure only to be sternly disciplined by the Bull Demon King. Red Boy had no idea that, had I not intervened, his future would have been nothing more than serving as a boy for Guanyin. Trapped in his ignorance, Lingshan remained oblivious to the fact that in the shadows they had quietly lost 3 generals of the Daluo Golden Immortal Realm. Upon returning to Quayun Mountain, I did not allow myself a moment of rest. To restore the Jiejiao Sect, relying solely on these surviving disciples would not be enough. After all, the losses suffered had been far too great. I immediately dispatched the Bull Demon King and the 3 Demon Kings of Shituo Ridge, charging them to find the great Demon Kings from my memories who had not yet been slain by Sun Wukong, and to bring them all back under our command. Naturally, the outside world to this as a sect annihilation, but rather as a clash between Demon Kings. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. Quayun Mountain had become exceptionally lively. In addition to the 3 demon masters from Daling that I summoned, Quayun Mountain now resembles the myriad demon ridge. One could say its strength has increased significantly. The 3 Daling demon masters have successfully subjugated the Tai Golden Immortal level 100-eyed demon lord and the scorpion spirit. The Bull Demon King also managed to invite the Tai Golden Immortal Jiao Demon King, along with the Rui True Monarch, who is at the Golden Immortal realm. He was unable to locate his remaining sworn brothers. Furthermore, there are 7 spider spirits at the mysterious Immortal realm, all of whom possess a charming and alluring appearance. Originally, I did not intend to accept any demons below the Golden Immortal realm, but Quayun Mountain felt far too masculine, lacking any semblance of feminine grace. A group of men living together is simply too monotonous, so I summoned the 7 spider sisters to restore balance to the mountain. In total, Quayun Mountain now hosts 4 Great Luo Golden Immortals, 3 Tai Golden Immortals, and while the others are not worth mentioning due to their lack of power, they will serve as an insurmountable mountain for that monkey to overcome. Indeed, it will be a formidable peak that the monkey shall struggle to surpass. The next step is to await the arrival of an old acquaintance at the southern heaven gate of the 33rd heaven. After traveling tirelessly for 2 days, the monkey finally arrived at the southern heaven gate. He leaped down from his somersault cloud, panting heavily, when a somewhat mocking voice drifted from behind him. "Is this not the great sage himself? Why have you fallen into such a sorry state?" Sun Wukong spun around, only to see Neja standing upon his windfire wheels and draped in his red armillary sash. With his fire-tipped spear resting across his shoulders, he looked at the monkey with a smirk. The monkey stepped forward to greet him. "Little Neza, are you on gate duty today?" Neja nodded and replied, "Indeed. Are you not escorting the monk to the western heaven to obtain the scriptures? Have you encountered a demon you could not handle?" Sun Wukong's face flushed as he scratched his head. "Little Neja, you do not understand. This time I have truly encountered a great demon king. Do you remember the Bull Demon King with whom I exchanged vows 500 years ago? Do you know of the great sage who pacifies heaven, the Bull Demon King? It is he. He has blocked our path at Quayun Mountain, and I truly cannot defeat him." Upon hearing this, a flicker of surprise flashed through Neja's eyes. The Bull Demon King, a 3rd-generation disciple of the Chan Sect, possessed strength rivaling that of Yang Jian and was a key pillar of the Chan Sect during the investiture of the gods. He naturally knew that this was a Mount One. Do not speak of him as if he were merely a mount. Even among the inner disciples of that year, many great Luo Golden Immortals were no match for their sect's teachings. Neja offered a faint, dismissive smile and remarked, "He is nothing more than a bull demon. The great sage who pacifies heaven, you say. Is that not a title you all bestowed upon yourselves?" Sun Wukong replied with a hint of embarrassment. That may be true, but you have no idea just how formidable that old bull truly is." Neja naturally conceded this point. Even if that old bull were lacking, he remained a demon king at the great Luo Golden Immortal level. It was expected that Sun Wukong would be unable to best him. Had he not possessed such an abundance of magical treasures, he would not necessarily have emerged victorious against the Bull Demon King. Unfortunately for his opponent, he had nothing in excess quite like his magical treasures. Neja then said, "Since that is the case, follow me. I am currently on my way to report to the Jade Emperor, and I shall bring you along." Sun Wukong, delighted, replied, "Many thanks, Third Prince," and hurried to follow in Neja's footsteps. The two moved one after the other, entering the southern heaven gate. Along the way, the heavenly soldiers and generals greeted Neja and the monkey as they passed. Before long, the two traversed the layers of palaces. From afar, they could already behold the Lingshao Precious Palace. The golden summit shimmered brilliantly beneath the dawn light. Neja came to a halt, gestured with his chin toward Sun Wukong, and spoke. "We have arrived. Go on in. The Jade Emperor is currently deliberating matters within. Just report the truth of what transpired." The monkey scratched his head and replied, "Very well," then bounded toward the Lingshao Precious Palace. Naturally, he was no longer the fool he had been in years past. Knowing that the Heavenly Emperor was a supreme expert within the primordial world, he would certainly not speak with the same reckless abandon as he did in the records of the journey to the west. Entering the grand hall, the monkey straightened his posture, performed a Buddhist salute, and declared, "Disciple Sun Wukong pays his respects to the Jade Emperor." Xuanya said calmly, "Rise. Sun Wukong, what brings you to my heavenly court today?" Sun Wukong chuckled at the immortals and deities lining both sides of the hall, offered a brief greeting and then addressed Xuan Ye. Your Majesty the Jade Emperor, this old sun has come to seek your assistance. As I escorted my master westward, we were intercepted by the Bull Demon King at Kuyan Mountain. I am unable to defeat him, and I have no choice but to beg your Majesty to dispatch someone to subdue the demon. The faces of those in the hall betrayed a look of mockery upon hearing this. Xuan Yi listened without comment, his gaze sweeping over the immortals and deities as he asked, "Which of you ministers is willing to descend to the mortal realm and subdue this demon?" Upon hearing this, Li Jing was the first to step forward and declare, "Your Majesty, this general is willing to go." Xuan Yi nodded and spoke, "Very well, then, pagoda-bearing Heavenly King, you shall lead the main force of the Heavenly Army. Third Prince Nezha shall serve as the Vice-General, and the 4 Heavenly Kings of Mo shall act as the vanguard. Proceed to Kuyun Mountain to subdue the demon." The generals stepped forward, cupping their hands in salute, "By your command." The cultivation level of the pagoda-bearing Heavenly King Li Jing was not particularly formidable. It was only through the destiny of the Heavenly Court and the incense offerings of the mortal realm that he had barely attained the rank of Tai Golden Immortal. However, Li Jing was loyal and devoted, supporting Xuan Ye with all his heart. Xuan Ye valued him highly, which was why he dispatched the 4 Heavenly Kings of Mo and Naza to provide assistance. With the 4 Heavenly Kings of Mo present, there would be no concerns regarding Li Jing's safety. After all, it was merely a lowly bull demon king. The combined strength of the 4 Heavenly Kings of Mo was sufficient to contend with a mid-stage Daluo Golden Immortal. Coupled with Nezha, a Daluo Golden Immortal equipped with countless magical artifacts, they were more than enough to subjugate the Bull Demon King. Sun Wukong approached Nezha with a grin and said, "Third Prince, I shall be relying on your prowess later." Nezha glanced at Sun Wukong and replied, "Rest assured, it is just a bull demon. How much trouble could he possibly cause?" Infected by this display of arrogance, Sun Wukong chuckled, as if he could already envision the scene of the Bull Demon King being brought to heel. The group exited the Lingxiao Hall, and before long, Li Jing had mustered a force of 100,000 heavenly soldiers. The 4 Heavenly Kings of Mo stood at the front of the formation, while Nezha stood to the left, treading upon his wind-fire wheels. Li Jing stood to the right, his pagoda held aloft in his palm. The massive heavenly army descended like dark clouds, sweeping from the earthly immortal realm through the 33 heavens, all the way to the entrance above Mount Buzhou. Yet, traveling from the 33 heavens down to the earthly immortal realm, one needed only to utilize the teleportation arrays constructed by the ancient demon court in ages past, allowing them to reach any of the 4 continents of the primordial world in an instant. Thus, their arrival was swift. Before long, the cloud cover above Kuyun Mountain parted. The shadows of heavenly soldiers and generals obscured the sky. The character heaven emblazoned upon their banners shimmered with a brilliant radiance. A murderous aura surged straight into the 9 heavens. Li Jing's voice, amplified by his divine power, echoed across the entirety of Kuyun Mountain, carrying an undeniable crushing pressure. "Bull Demon King, come out and surrender at once. A lowly demon king like you dares to obstruct the path of the Western Heaven pilgrimage? If you are wise, submit yourself to capture, and you may yet be spared from death." Mo Lisho, wielding the azure cloud sword, scoffed, "A mere demon king who stumbled upon a bit of strength dares to style himself as the great sage who pacifies heaven? Today I shall show you the true vastness of the heavens and the earth." Mo Li Hong spoke in a gliding, mocking tone, wielding his hunting umbrella. "Old Niu, stop hiding. Come out and face your punishment. My umbrella currently lacks a demon to imprison, and you would be a most suitable addition." High in the firmament, the rolling thunder and the presence of 10,000 heavenly soldiers brought an oppressive force capable of destroying the heavens and extinguishing the earth. They formed dozens of battle formations, nearly eclipsing the entire sky. Inside Kuyun Mountain, the Bull Demon King and the great demons were still drinking and celebrating. I sat in the seat of honor. Apart from the Bull Demon King and the 3 demons of Shituo Ridge, none of the other great demons knew my true identity, knowing only that I was formidable. Having his festivities suddenly interrupted, the Bull Demon King flew into a rage, slamming the wine bowl in his hand onto the table, and roared, "Brothers, stay and enjoy yourselves for a moment. Wait for me to go out and see. Once I have driven away these people from the heavenly court, we shall continue our drinking." The 100-eyed demon lord could not wait, standing up to say, "It is no matter, old Niu, I shall accompany you on this trip." The great sage who equalizes the sea, the flood dragon king who had recently joined, spoke up, "I will go as well." The Bull Demon King waved his hand in refusal, saying, "I have already given him detailed instructions. If the visitors from the heavenly court are former disciples of the Jiejiao Sect, try to persuade them to defect. If they are not Jiejiao Sect disciples, capture them all, until not a single soul remains in the heavenly court, rendering the heavenly court unable to function, and finally using the exchange of prisoners to force the heavenly court to lift the restrictions of the investiture of the gods list, granting freedom to the Jiejiao Sect disciples. Only then will our grand undertaking be accomplished." The Bull Demon King addressed the 3 demons, Green Lion, Golden-Winged Peng, and White Elephant. "You shall secretly guard the flanks for me. Brother 100 Eyes, there is no need to rush. There will be plenty of opportunities for you to showcase your talents later." The 3 demons nodded in agreement. "Very well, I shall heed the words of Brother Niu." Soon, the Bull Demon King stepped out of the cave dwelling, the iron cudgel in his hand striking the ground and causing the mountain rocks to shatter, and he bellowed, "Do the dogs of the heavenly court dare to come to my Kuyun Mountain and act with such insolence? Naza shouted in a deep voice, brandishing his fire-tipped spear, his face full of murderous intent as he pointed. Nu Moang, I give you one final opportunity to surrender and submit. If you refuse, do not blame the demon-slaying sword in my hand for being merciless. Nu Wang laughed wildly and retorted, ha ha ha, what a pathetic joke. Little Neza, let alone you, even if your master Tai Zhenren were to stand before me, I would not hold him in any regard. Enraged, Neza shouted, you seek death. Drive and fiery for Nezha lunged forward instantly. The windfire wheels beneath his feet ignited, bringing him within striking distance of Nu Wang in the blink of an eye. Erupted with raging flames, manifesting 100 Zhang fire dragon that thrust directly toward Nu Wang's heart. Facing Neza, who was also at the Dalua realm, Nu Wang dared not be careless. He exhaled a breath of demonic aura to disperse the fire dragon and parried the blow with his chaos iron rod. With a deafening clang, divine light erupted and leveled the surrounding terrain. The two combatants immediately locked into a fierce struggle. They exchanged hundreds of blows, yet neither could gain the upper hand. The two had long since ascended from Quiyun Mountain to the firmament, for otherwise the lands for 1,000 miles around Quiyun Mountain would have been utterly annihilated. Seeing that martial prowess alone could not defeat Nu Wang, Nezha did not hesitate. Following a brief exchange, he unleashed his Dharma treasure. The universe ring transformed into a streak of a shooting star, tearing through the void with a piercing whistle. Nu Wang scrambled to block, but the universe ring slammed directly into his chest. The impact nearly sent the great bull's soul fleeing from his body. A mouthful of blood sprayed into the air. His chest had collapsed inward from the force of the strike. Before he could catch his breath, Nezha withdrew the golden brick. He cast it into the void, where it manifested into a mountain of 10,000 zhang. The sky could no longer withstand such pressure, causing the space itself to collapse inch by inch. The blinding golden light rendered the heavenly soldiers and generals unable to open their eyes. With a thunderous crash, it descended, as if to annihilate everything in Nu Wang's path. The weight of 10,000 armies suddenly descended. Nu Wang let out a furious roar, instantly reverting to his true form, a bull demon of 1,000 zhang. He relied on this form to brace himself against the golden brick. Nezha sneered, this foolish bull is truly courting death, however it is not over yet. Clang! Nezha drew the demon-slaying sword from his waist. He stood proudly in the firmament, gazing down coldly at Nu Wang, who was pinned beneath the golden brick and bleeding from his 7 orifices. Nezha raised the demon-slaying sword, its blade emanating a chilling radiance as it transformed into a colossus that pierced the very heavens. This strike sought to cleave the western Jiejiao continent in two. Nezha let out a thunderous roar, perish. Gripping the demon-slaying sword with both hands, he thrust it into the azure clouds and brought it down, determined to claim the head of the Bull Demon King. The Bull Demon King could no longer hold his ground. Pinned to the earth by the radiant golden brick, he cried out in inner agony. What are the 3 demons of Shituo Ridge doing? Old Bull can no longer endure this. Although our cultivation bases are equal, this brat is a sainted son of his sect. His entire body is adorned with divine treasures. Seeing that Old Bull was truly at his limit, the 3 demons of Shituo Ridge knew they could wait no longer. They charged forward immediately, all 3 being great Luo Golden Immortals, employing the divine ability to traverse great distances in a single step. The white elephant demon revealed his true form, a 1,000-foot-tall, 6-tusked white elephant. Each of his ivory tusks spanned several hundred feet in length. He let out a deafening roar, ferociously striking the golden brick to knock it away from the Bull Demon King. Behind the golden-winged Peng, a pair of wings unfurled, tearing through the very fabric of the void. Behind the golden-winged Peng, a pair of wings unfurled, tearing through the void and reaching Nezha's side in a mere heartbeat. He wielded his Fangshan halberd, intending to strike after him but arrived before him, hoping to slay Nezha. His speed was overwhelming, and Nezha's sword, already mid-swing, could not be easily retracted. It was clearly too late to pull back the blade, but Nezha possessed a wealth of combat experience. He forcibly shifted the momentum of his sword, which had been aimed at the Bull Demon King, to turn back, parrying the surprise attack from the golden-winged Peng. However, lacking sufficient force, the demon-slaying sword was knocked from Seija's grip, and the golden-winged Peng's second strike descended immediately. With a flicker of Nezha's divine intent, the armillary sash flew out automatically to protect his body, not only deflecting the assault of the golden-winged Peng, but also blocking the frontal strike from the Azure Lion Demon simultaneously. Seeing this, the golden-winged Peng quickly retreated, his sharp eyes flashing with caution. This Nezha is truly extraordinary. With such an abundance of divine treasures, he is a formidable opponent. The Azure Lion Demon naturally had no intention of facing Nezha alone. Though his seniority was higher than Nezha's, this junior was simply too powerful. He is, after all, one of the elite figures of the Chan Sect's 3rd generation. Alone, he was no match for them and subsequently retreated. The 4 demon kings gradually withdrew to form a defensive line, while above them hovered Nezha alongside the 10,000 heavenly soldiers and generals. At this moment, war drums echoed across the heavens and earth, the resounding blast of war horns fueling the soldiers' resolve. The heavenly host moved in unison, surrounding Nu Wang and his companions as if caught in a net from which there was no escape. The atmosphere on the battlefield grew heavy, thick with the scent of slaughter. Nezha, the 3rd Lotus Prince, waved his hand to retract his universe ring. With his golden brick and demon-slaying sword, his solitary figure stood proudly against the sky. He offered a cold smile and remarked, Nu Wang, I wondered who gave you the courage to defy me. So it seems you had reinforcements, however. If these are the extent of your trump cards, I can only say it is far from enough. Neja remained deeply arrogant, looking down from above with the detachment of a divine being. A flicker of surprise flashed through the eyes of the pagoda-bearing heavenly king Li Jing. He had not expected to encounter 3 additional demon kings at the level of a Daluo golden immortal here. Fortunately, the heavenly emperor had dispatched Neja and the 4 heavenly kings. Otherwise, he feared the outcome would not have been in his favor. The presence of the 4 heavenly kings was overwhelming. They were already fearsome in appearance. But upon manifesting their towering dharma bodies, they became statuesque and robust. Their sheer muscular mass looming in the sky was a terrifying sight to behold. With the appearance of 3 more demon kings, the 4 heavenly kings could no longer stand idly by, and each produced their respective dharma treasures. A cacophony of demonic notes from the pipa immediately resonated, casting the minds of all who heard it into chaos and unease. Sun Wukong also arrived, stepping upon his somersault cloud to appear beside Neja. Neja, do not panic, little one. Old Sun has come to lend you a hand. Neja glanced at Sun Wukong, still finding the composure to mock him. With which eye did you see me panicking? Sun Wukong did not respond to the jab, instead fixing his gaze upon Nu Mowang. He laughed and said, Old Nu, oh old Nu, tell me, why must you insist on opposing me? Are you not simply inviting misery upon yourself? Let us see how you end this time. He rolled his eyes, then cast a furtive glance at Neja, feeling somewhat bewildered. After 500 years of separation, these individuals had all become more formidable than him. 500. But Sun Wukong paused to reflect on his thoughts. It was true, back then, after cultivating for less than 10 years, he had already been able to wreak havoc in the Heavenly Palace. Having been imprisoned for 500 years, it was only natural that these individuals had become more powerful than him. Inside the Palm Leaf Cave, I have been closely watching this battle. Seeing the display, the Demon King, the 100-Day Demon Lord, and the Scorpion Spirit were all eager to test their own strength. Though their cultivation was insufficient, their eyes still blazed with a fierce will to fight. Currently, the Heavenly Court side consists of the Small Monkey, a Taiyi Golden Immortal, and the Pagoda-bearing Heavenly King. They are joined by Neza and the 4 Heavenly Kings of the Mo family, who are Dalao Golden Immortals. 2 Dalao and 2 Taiyi Golden Immortals in total. Even with 2 Dalao and 2 Taiyi Golden Immortals facing Nu Ma Wang's 4 Dalao Golden Immortals, the advantage still lies firmly with us. The gap between a Taiyi Golden Immortal and a Dalao is as vast as the distance between a Quasi-Saint and a true Saint. A Dalao Golden Immortal can strike down a Taiyi Golden Immortal with ease. It is as simple as crushing an ant. Even with Li Jing wielding the Rui Pagoda, it cannot bridge the immense divide between the two sides. Unless, of course, he brought the profound yellow pagoda of heaven and earth. Therefore, despite Nu Ma Wang and the 4 great demons being the ones surrounded, aside from the stubborn Neja, the rest of the Heavenly Court's forces are merely putting up a front. They do not even dare to launch a proactive offensive. Li Jing held the precious pagoda in one hand while stroking his beard with the other. He coldly advised Nu Ma Wang, do not remain stubborn and unrepentant. The Heavenly Court is not an entity you can hope to defy. And today we are only the vanguard. If you are willing to let Tong Sanzeng and the others pass through Quayun Mountain in peace, the Heavenly Court is not unreasonable. But if you insist on opposing the heavens, our next meeting will surely be the anniversary of your deaths. Your demon race knows the demon-slaying stage well. Once upon it, your souls will be extinguished. With me presiding here, none shall escape. Nu Ma Wang, however, was a man who feared neither heaven nor earth. He let out a booming laugh and said, haha, enough nonsense, Li Jing. I see you are afraid. If you want to fight, then fight. Why waste so many useless words? Today witness as your grandpa Niu teaches you a lesson in humility. The green lion spirit, his face full of mockery, laughed along and said, ha ha ha, come you Heavenly Court weaklings. It has been a long time since my brothers and I have stretched our limbs. Our bodies are itching for a fight. The golden-winged Great Peng silently prepared himself, his gaze as sharp as a sword and utterly devoid of fear. Suddenly, a woman's shout echoed across Quayun Mountain. Old Ox. The celestial host looked down from the sky as Nu Ma Wang shouted back, Madam, what are you doing out here? Return to the cave at once. Princess Ironfan stared fixedly at Neza and snorted coldly, do you think you can bully my husband just because he lacks a spiritual treasure? The golden-winged Great Peng lightly fluttered the wings behind his back, tearing through the void. Do you think you can bully my husband just because he lacks a spiritual treasure? Old bull, take this. Our household is not so destitute that we have nothing to bring forth. The banana leaf fan transformed into a streak of flowing light, flying from Princess Ironfan's hand and landing directly in the Bull Demon King's grasp. Seeing this, the Bull Demon King was overjoyed and exclaimed, ha ha, my good wife, I almost forgot about this treasure. The Demon King performed a series of hand seals, and the banana leaf fan in his hand immediately expanded upon meeting the wind. It transformed into a colossal fan, its surface revolving with a silent, profound power. Several gusts of astral wind emerged, cold enough to pierce through one's very marrow. The mid-grade innate spiritual treasure, the banana leaf fan, originated from the dawn of creation. It grew as a leaf from a single banana stalk on Mount Kunlun. One leaf possessed extreme yang and belonged to the Grand Supreme Elder, Taishang Laojun. The other leaf possessed extreme yin and belonged to the ancestor of the Blood Sea, Minga. It was later bestowed upon Princess Ironfan. Even 2 great ancestors once fought to divide these mid-grade spiritual treasures. This alone proves how precious such artifacts are within the Great Desolate. Any one of them falling into the earthly immortal realm would cause cultivators to fight to the death to possess it. With the spiritual treasure in hand, the Bull Demon King's ferocious gaze locked onto Nezha. He laughed and said, "Brat, come here. Let us see how I settle the score with you this time." Nezha remained expressionless, his demeanor incredibly cold. With his arms crossed over his chest and his feet planted upon the wind and fire wheels, he stood amidst the gale. The corner of his mouth curled slightly, sketching a faint outline of a smirk. A look of contempt, both subtle and undeniable, flickered in his eyes. He responded with utter calm and indifference. "Bull Demon King, I repeat what I said before, if this is your only reliant." Nezha chuckled softly and shook his head. "It is not enough. Bull Demon King, give me your best shot." Nezha appeared far too confident. Could it be that he held a hidden trump card that remained unknown? Is there anyone else? Nezha cracked his neck and exhaled deeply, saying, "Call them all out here to meet their deaths." Li Jing's mouth twitched as he looked at his rebellious son, thinking to himself, what in the world is this? There are already 4 Dalu immortals present, and yet it is still not enough. Even your father wants to retreat at this point. The Bull Demon King was naturally hot-tempered, and Nezha's excessive arrogance was the final straw. It incensed him greatly, and with a thunderous roar of annoyance he spoke. "Stop putting on airs, brothers, join me in charge. We shall humble this brat who knows not the heights of the heavens nor the depths of the earth." The 3 demons of Shituo Ridge bellowed in a low, commanding voice. Very well, the 4 great Luo Demon Kings struck simultaneously. Boom! In an instant, the world changed color as thunder and lightning roared. The combined strike of 4 great Luo Golden Immortals was enough to shake the vast primordial land. After all, these were great Luo Golden Immortals, beings capable of plucking stars from the firmament. Nacha finally moved, though his actions seemed deceptively subtle. His hands merely blurred as they quickly formed a mystical seal. An object flew forth from before his chest at great speed. It was no larger than the palm of a hand. Yet a thunderous boom erupted, as if the very foundations of the earth were trembling. The object seemed to manifest the divine ability of phenomenal transformation. In an instant, it expanded 10,000-fold, and a colossal fiery furnace manifested across the horizon. Its entire frame blazed with brilliant crimson flames. Etched upon the furnace were 9 giant golden dragons, so lifelike they appeared to be swimming across its surface. With another deafening clap of thunder, the furnace in the sky suddenly descended, upturned. The divine furnace, as vast as an abyss, instantly enveloped both the Bull Demon King and the 3 demons of Shituo Ridge. Suddenly, roar after dragon roar echoed as 9 golden fire dragons, each thousands of feet long, burst forth from the furnace. Their eyes shone with a divine light as radiant as suns suspended in the heavens. Facing the 9 dragons' divine fire cover, the Bull Demon King's expression shifted instantly. His face was now a mask of absolute terror. This Huqian supreme treasure of Tai Zhenren had once shone with peerless power during the investiture of the gods, refining countless disciples of the Jiejiao Sect. Who could have guessed that Tai would pass this supreme treasure down to Nacha? Encompassing the entire sky, the 9 dragons' divine fire cover acted like a blazing sun, directly suppressing and trapping the Bull Demon King and the 4 demon kings. The 9 true dragons opened their maws to unleash Samadhi true fire, seeking to refine them into ash. The 9 true dragons spewed their Samadhi true fire, determined to incinerate them. The golden-winged Great Peng's expression turned solemn. Together with the Bull Demon King, he activated his soul-bound treasure. The yin-yang flask spewed forth hundreds of feet of frigid yin qi. It collided with the Samadhi true fire of the 9 dragons, emitting a violent, searing hiss. The Bull Demon King fanned his plantain fan with all his might, sending forth hundreds of astral gales that formed a tempest reaching the very heavens. However, the power gap between their treasures and the 9 dragons divided. Under intense suppression, the 4 demon kings were engulfed by the Samadhi true fire. As the space around them continued to shrink, the Azure Lion spirit shouted in desperation, "Old Bull, we must find a way. At this rate, we will be refined into nothingness." The Bull Demon King replied anxiously, "There is no way out. That wretched cauldron has immobilized us. We can hardly move. Our spiritual treasures are no match for it, but why do you panic? Do not forget that eldest brother is still below." At those words, the 4 demons immediately regained their composure, though they felt a pang of shame for needing their brother's aid in their very first battle. The 3 demons of Lion Camel Ridge were overcome with embarrassment. They had truly lost face. Given my protective nature, those 4 would surely come to no harm. Within the plantain cave, I shook my head helplessly. I had hoped to see if these 4 demons had accumulated any trump cards over the years, but it seems they do not possess even a single shred of hidden power. The battle outside caused the Flood Dragon Demon King and Princess Iron Fan great anxiety, as they cast tense glances toward me from time to time. With no other choice, I rose from my seat. Without any grand movement and without even stepping out of the cave, I gave a slight wave of my palm. Within the cave, all was deathly silent. Princess Iron Fan and the others stared in a daze. Just what was he doing? However, outside the cave, an earth-shattering transformation was taking place. The territory of Mount Qian had been under clear, peaceful skies, but the sunlight began to vanish bit by bit. It was as if someone had poured a jar of ink across the firmament. From the distant horizon, a pitch-black darkness suddenly surged forward. In the blink of an eye, it enveloped the heavens and the earth, turning the world so dark that one could not even see the 5 fingers of their own hand. Zhu Bajie, who had been enthusiastically watching the spectacle from afar, suddenly witnessed this scene and his eyes filled with terror. He stared intently at the blackened sky. He did not know who was making their move, but he knew this was a supreme divine ability capable of shifting the very heavens. It was akin to the kingdom in the palm of the west or Zhen Yuanzi's universe in the sleeve. It was exceedingly terrifying and immensely powerful. Amidst the horizon, the 100,000 celestial soldiers and generals were equally horrified, falling into complete and utter chaos. It was as if their eyes had been gouged out, they could see nothing, and even their divine sense was rendered useless. The world did not simply turn dark. Rather, every inch of the surrounding area seemed to have transformed into a void of absolute black. The moment their divine sense left their bodies, it felt as though it had sunk into a mire, completely immobilized. Furthermore, they discovered to their horror that the spiritual energy within their bodies had been sealed. Neja roared in fury, "If you have the courage, show yourself. See if this young master doesn't riddle your body with holes." Victory had been within their grasp. Eliminating 4 demon kings in one stroke would have been a monumental achievement, yet at the final moment, an interloper had ruined everything. Neja was consumed by rage, but no one answered him. This ink-black darkness that polluted heaven and earth arrived swiftly and departed just as fast, vanishing like snow beneath a scorching sun. However, as the darkness receded, everything in the sky vanished along with it, leaving the horizon as empty as if nothing had ever happened. Thuy Van Mountain regained its usual tranquility, leaving only a shocked monkey staring blankly at the empty void surrounding him. "Where are you?" Third Prince Pagoda bearing Heavenly, "King, where is everyone gone?" His voice echoed for a long time, yet there was still no response. Only then did Zubajie, watching from below, realize that he and his companions were completely unharmed. Zubajie jumped for joy and shouted loudly, "Brother Monkey, we are over here." Sun Wukong's eyes lit up when he saw Bajie and the others, and he hurriedly descended from the clouds. He asked Bajie, "Did you see where the third prince and his men went just now?" With a look that suggested the answer was obvious, Zubajie replied, "Where else could they have gone?" "They were captured by the demons, of course." Sun Wukong let out a thunderous shout, "What?" Bajie, do not speak such nonsense. That was the third Prince Neja, accompanied by 100,000 heavenly soldiers. What demon could possibly possess such terrifying power? Sun Wukong was shaken to his core. This situation had completely exceeded his understanding. Gnashing his teeth in frustration, he muttered, "What do we do now? How am I supposed to explain this to the Jade Emperor? How could that bull demon king be so powerful?" Tong Sanzong suddenly asked with a puzzled expression. "Bajie, you say those heavenly deities were captured by the demon? Then why were we not taken as well?" Sha Wujiking followed with the same look of confusion. "That is right, second senior brother." Zubajie grumbled, "How should I know? If you want to know, go ask the demon yourself." "Master, I truly have no idea. I am no parasite within the demon's belly." "Brother Monkey, why not call upon the bull demon king and inquire?" The impatient monkey waved his hand and snapped, "Be gone with you. Should I call him out just to be thrashed?" He was still no match for the bull demon king. Sun Wukong paced restlessly for a moment before speaking. "If things truly cannot be resolved, Old Sun has no choice but to go. I shall seek Guanyin Bodhisattva at the South Sea. I refuse to believe the Bodhisattva cannot subdue these demons." Standing nearby, Sha Wuqing, senior brother, "Perhaps you should first report this matter to the Jade Emperor in the Heavenly Court. If we allow too much time to pass, and the demons strike a lethal blow against the third prince and the others, it will be difficult to justify our actions." Hearing this, Sun Wukong nodded. It was logical. He must promptly clarify the situation to the Jade Emperor, who would surely dispatch reinforcements. When that time came, even if the bull demon king possessed 1,000 schemes, he would find it difficult to escape death. In his helplessness, having just descended from the heavenly court, he was forced to travel for 2 consecutive days without rest to the distant 33rd heaven. This was a realm of profound gloom, obscure and boundless in all directions, seemingly infinite, devoid of light and the breath of life, resembling a desolate ruin. Neja and his companions were completely unaware that they had been drawn into my divine ability, the heaven-seizing, sun-transforming art. They still believed they were in the skies above Mount Qiyun. The 4 heavenly kings and Neza shouted in unison until they were utterly exhausted, yet no one answered. In the silent, pitch-black darkness, the heavenly host could only hear voices but see no one, as if they were imprisoned. At the Bajau cave of Mount Qiyun, the Flood Dragon Demon King, the 100-eyed Demon Lord, and the others finally witnessed my methods. Every one of them was profoundly shaken, silently swallowing their nervousness. The 100-eyed Demon Lord thought to himself, "Fortunate it is that I knew my place and accompanied the Bull Demon King to this location, otherwise I would not even know how I had perished." With a mere wave of the hand, he had subdued so many of the Heavenly Court's elite. They understood the true terror of such power. Princess Ironfan also came to realize why the Bull Demon King revered me so deeply. I waved my hand once more. The 4 Demon Kings and the Bull Demon King manifested and descended to the ground. The 4 demons stood dazed, only then realizing they had returned to the Bajau cave. The group spoke with deep gratitude. "We thank you, Big Brother, for your intervention." Displaying his usual thick-skinned nature, the Bull Demon King leaned in and asked with a grin, "By the way, Big Brother, where is that brat Neja?" I replied calmly, "I have already sealed him away. Why, do you wish to discipline him yourself?" As I spoke, I extended my open palm. Within my palm, Neja and his companions appeared, trapped and dazed within the space of my divine ability. The Bull Demon King grumbled indignantly, If it weren't for the sheer number of Dharma treasures he possesses, he would certainly be no match for me. I nodded and said, it is a pity. In this era, primordial spirit treasures have become exceedingly rare. They are either already claimed, or have vanished alongside their masters who perished in their pursuit of the Tao. Otherwise, I would have sought out a few suitable spirit treasures for you to use. Innate spirit treasures were naturally nurtured and manifested at the dawn of the universe, bearing the essence of the great Tao and the power of the 3,000 laws. Once they are hidden, even a saint cannot calculate their whereabouts. If it were not so, the Chaos Bell would have long been found by a saint. It is one of the 3 great treasures of creation, and its location has remained a mystery for countless ages. When I first achieved my human form, I too wandered the primordial world hoping to discover more treasures. I can only say that the web novels of the past were quite misleading. All that talk about the 12-grade purifying White Lotus being on the Penglai Immortal Island was nothing but a myth. I nearly turned the entire Penglai Immortal Island upside down searching for it, yet the 12-grade purifying White Lotus was nowhere to be found. Even at Mount Bajau, I found absolutely nothing. While I possess many rare materials, refining an acquired spirit treasure to a high grade requires the fusion of one's own comprehension of the great Tao laws. Refining any acquired spirit treasure is no simple feat. It is a painstaking process that can easily span hundreds or even thousands of years, unless one utilizes rare and extraordinary innate materials. For example, the golden dragon scissors were forged from 2 innate dragons of slaughter, naturally embodying the laws of slaying. The bull demon king spoke again with a sly grin. Big brother, why not lend me the heaven-flipping seal for a while? After all, with your current level of power, you have little need for spirit treasures